Brits leaked rotten royal misuse of royal properties, and once again the monarchy's darkest corners are laid bare for the world to see. What should have been a simple administrative matter, one aging mansion transitioning out of the hands of an irrelevant, disgraced royal, has instead become a symbol of centuries of corruption, secrecy and entitlement embedded so deeply into the Crown's foundations that even a wrecking ball couldn't shake it loose. Royal Lodge, a Grade 2 listed mansion in Windsor Great Park, was meant to be a home reserved for those who served the nation with dignity. Instead, it became a playground for a man whose scandals and disgrace have cost the British public more than they will ever know. And now, with Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor and Sarah Ferguson finally forced to vacate the residence early next year, the public is seeing just how rotten the corridors of monarchy have become. Because even now, even after everything, instead of discussing audits, returns, transparency, or justice, the palace is plotting how to gift this multi-million-pound estate to the next generation of Windsor heirs as if they are passing around an unwanted hand-me-down trinket. A property specialist told GB News that the mansion may be repurposed for the next generation of senior royals, once Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis reach adulthood. And there it is, the quiet confession that nothing will ever change. Not the planning, not the spending, not the corruption, not the arrogance. Royal Lodge isn't being freed for public use or for the people who actually fund it. It isn't being restored for historical preservation or national educational value. No, it is being kept warm and untouched for royal teenagers who haven't yet lifted a finger for the country, but are already being groomed for million-pound estates, funded by the very public they look down on. How is this not misuse? How is this not corruption? How is this not the clearest proof that the monarchy is incapable of responsible planning? To understand the depth of the rot, one must understand what Royal Lodge represents. Nestled inside Windsor Great Park, it is one of the Crown's most expensive and protected properties, leased originally under sweetheart conditions, so generous that no ordinary human could dream of them. Andrew, who the public never voted for, never wanted, and long ago stopped trusting, was granted this mansion as if it were his birthright. What corporate CEO, what government leader, what public figure disgraced by global scandal gets gifted a countryside palace, taxpayer-funded security, and decades of maintenance for pennies? Only a royal, only a Windsor, only someone raised in a system where privilege isn't earned but inherited like old silverware, no one is brave enough to throw away. For years, Royal Lodge was allowed to rot, not physically, though the repairs cost the public dearly, but morally. A disgraced prince, stripped of duties, stripped of titles, stripped of respect, was still permitted to sit on a 30-room estate the size of a small village, all with the blessing of a monarchy terrified of holding its own accountable. They knew the optics, they knew the backlash, they knew the outrage, but they also knew that no matter how loud the public shouted, no royal would ever willingly loosen the grip on property that doesn't belong to them. The palace's greatest skill isn't governance, it's survival, surviving criticism, surviving incompetence, surviving scandals that would end any other institution overnight. And so Royal Lodge became yet another chapter in their long-standing tradition of terrible planning and even worse, moral judgment. Now, as Andrew and Sarah Ferguson prepare to leave early next year, the narrative being fed to the public is laughable. We are told that the departure is standard estate management. We are told that this is routine planning. We are told that the monarchy is simply making space for future generations. But what does future planning look like in the monarchy's corrupted corridors? It looks like taking a property that has already cost millions in upkeep and ring-fencing it for children who have contributed nothing yet. It looks like refusing to open the estate to public use or turning it into a historical landmark. It looks like prioritizing 3 privileged children over millions of British taxpayers struggling with housing crises, collapsing public services, and rising living costs. It looks like asking the public to keep paying for properties they will never step foot in. And that is the rot, royal planning that isn't planning at all, but hoarding. Imagine any other public institution operating like this. Imagine if the British Museum secretly reserved galleries not for historical exhibits, but for the grandchildren of senior curators. Imagine if Parliament ring-fenced entire office wings for MPs' children who might one day become politicians. People would riot, people would demand resignations. But with the monarchy, the public is expected to clap, nod, and say, "How lovely," as if this is normal and not deeply insulting. Royal Lodge should have been returned to public stewardship the moment Andrew brought shame to the crown. Instead, palace insiders are already mapping the bedrooms for George, Charlotte, and Louis, as if the country exists to keep the Windsor real estate portfolio intact. The misuse doesn't end with Andrew. Royal Lodge is just one example in a long lineage of royal properties siphoned away from the public, hidden behind private gates, and protected by archaic laws that treat the monarchy like an untouchable landlord. Across the Windsor estate, across Kensington, across Sandringham and Balmoral, which they pretend is private, but still absorbs public expenses, the same pattern repeats: massive properties, minimal transparency, excessive spending, and no public accountability. The monarchy claims these estates are needed for their duties. Yet what duties require dozens of palaces? What duties require sprawling mansions? What duties require a network of castles so large it could house entire cities of people struggling with homelessness? The answer is none. These palaces aren't tools, they're trophies, and the monarchy has no intention of giving up a single one, even when logic, morality, and modern governance demand it. The corridors of power surrounding these decisions are rotten because they rely on traditions created centuries ago, traditions designed to funnel wealth and land upward, never outward. No parliamentary oversight, no budget transparency, no consequence for overspending, no accountability when properties crumble under negligence because the royal family would rather allocate funds to PR than preservation. The monarchy's planning committees operate like secret societies, shadowy, archaic, allergic to modern scrutiny. They plan nothing for the nation. They plan everything for themselves. And so the cycle repeats. Andrew and Sarah are being removed, not because the monarchy finally grew a conscience, but because the palace is making space for the next generation. Not the next generation of Britons, not the next generation of public servants, the next generation of royals. Teenagers with gilded childhoods will inherit a mansion paid for by taxpayers who will never be invited inside. This is not repurposing. This is recycling corruption from one generation to the next. A truly responsible monarchy would have transformed Royal Lodge into something meaningful: a refugee support centre, a mental health retreat, a historical museum, an arts campus, a public park extension. Something that benefits the nation rather than the Windsor bloodline. Instead, the palace is positioning the property as an inheritance waiting room for children who already have everything. And that short-sighted thinking exposes the monarchy's greatest flaw. It cannot imagine a world where it serves the people rather than ruling above them. The public deserves to ask, what exactly qualifies Prince George, Princess Charlotte, or Prince Louis to be the future occupants of a multi-million-pound estate? Their birthdays, their bloodline, their proximity to the throne. None of these justify funneling national assets into their hands. They are children. Children who may grow up wealthy, yes, but untested, inexperienced, and unproven. Yet the monarchy is already grooming them for entitlement on a massive scale. It is a shocking indictment of royal planning that they don't consider whether the next generation should earn what they receive, only that they must be protected from ever living ordinary lives. This sense of entitlement is so deeply ingrained that the monarchy cannot fathom divesting any property. Even when a residence becomes a public embarrassment, even when public trust erodes, even when logic dictates transformation, they cling to the estate like treasure. The lack of strategy is astounding. Any modern institution would audit, assess needs, prioritize public good, and restructure assets. The monarchy, by contrast, simply moves the chess pieces around the board without ever changing the game. Andrew leaves, The children inherit. Corruption continues. Nothing improves. It is all a hollow ritual. And still, the palace wonders why public support declines. They wonder why the younger generation is questioning the monarchy's relevance. They wonder why scandals erupt faster than they can control them. It is because institutions built on secrecy and entitlement simply cannot survive in an age of transparency. Royal Lodge is not just a mansion. It is a monument to centuries of exploitation, incompetence, manipulation, and moral decay. And the British people are no longer blind to it. The looming vacancy at Royal Lodge should have been an opportunity for humility, an opportunity for reform, an opportunity to show the nation that the monarchy understands the strain on its people. But instead, the palace has made the same choice it always makes. Choose the royals first. Choose privilege first. Choose secrecy first. Choose corruption first. And the public is left to pay the bill, financially, morally, historically. Royal Lodge is the story of a monarchy that refuses to evolve. It is the story of a family clinging to outdated luxuries while pretending to represent modern Britain. It is the story of a system so poorly planned that it cannot manage its own properties without stumbling into scandal after scandal. And until the institution is forced to confront its own decay, the misuse will continue, the corruption will deepen, and the British public will remain locked outside the gates of estates they unknowingly fund. The monarchy's corridors are rotten, not because of one man, not because of one mansion, but because the system is designed to protect itself, not the people. And Royal Lodge is the clearest proof yet that no amount of PR polish can hide the crumbling foundation beneath.
And that wraps our daily diaries updates. Harry and Meghan, always keep the world talking. And if you enjoy this update, do not forget to like, share, subscribe. And for more royalty served with honesty, just right here on Daily Diaries Friday. Till next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep shining. See you next time with more royal news and good vibe. Bye bye.